Happy to welcome today my colleague and partner Olga Walker from Good Cost Travel DMC UK and Ireland, and two excellent speakers and organizers. One of them is Cleo Eleftheriadis. She runs her own company, The Best Way Forward, helping corporate clients and travel management companies to organize digital and virtual products, SR events, conferences, incentives, and any kind of things that that are essential for today and become really very important for all kind of markets. And Mr. Savas Kazantidis, CEO of Beyond Limits and organizer of virtual travel show, which was held in May 2020, Beyond Experience. Maybe I would say two words that I was participating in this virtual show, and my satisfaction is even more than 100%, to be honest. So I'm really happy to discover you guys, and now let's maybe start. My first question would be, maybe Savas, let's start with you. So how did you came to idea about this virtual travel show Beyond Experience? Was it an emerging option for an offline equivalent? Did you plan it to have like a real exhibition, or was it just a new idea, new innovative idea, just to set a new product on the market? And if we are talking about this, this is not really clear to me. What is the difference between virtual show and digital show? Because we can find now both of terms in the media. Thank you, Savas.
Okay, so let me start from the latter. Thank you for the introduction, Vika and Olga. And I would say that the main difference between virtual and digital is this. Digital is a one-way product. You have an ebook, a recorded session, something that has a digital signature, let's say, and it exists in the internet. You can download it, you can listen to it, you can see it, and that's it. Virtual is more a two-way communication. It's more interactive. It's the video conferencing, it's the chatting, it's a combination of both. So that's why I think that what describes mostly something that has interaction should be called virtual. Now, coming back to your first question, why we had, how we come and launched this virtual travel show. Well, it was after the cancellation of both IBDM Asia, which we were about to participate as Beyond Limits, and IMEX Frankfurt. Well, we were almost pretty sure that IMEX Frankfurt will be cancelled. So we started as early as end of March, being prepared to do this virtual travel show. So I would say it came from the need to, first of all, satisfy and help my members of Beyond Limits, which is a collection and alliance of what I call boutique DMCs all over the world. And then we have seen the potential that why don't we include then others, like hotels, like experiences, like technology. And well, voila, this is how it was born.
And so you're saying you started in March, yeah? So it was quite a quick turnaround, really, to organize a show like this with a lot of exhibitors and quite a few buyers. Did you find this challenging? What did you find most challenging? Was it difficult to persuade both parties to participate? Because it was, in a way, one of the first experiences, one of the first kind of experiences on the market, even IMEX, Planet IMEX came later, didn't it?
Yes. Well, it was not easy, let me tell you this, because we deliberately set this to start on the days of IMEX, because we thought that in the minds of the travel industry people, the travel professionals, they were already ready to go and travel to Frankfurt and meet each other. Mm-hmm. And suddenly this, the biggest event, one of the biggest in our industry, it was canceled. So we said, let's do it in those dates. These 5 people were literally, let's say, representing the whole network. So I was bouncing up ideas with them. Should the meetings, for instance, the duration should be 15 minutes or 20 or 30? What shall we do? Shall we have group sessions or one-on-one? So this helped me accelerating things and make it happen on time. Now, finding buyers, to answer your question, in finding buyers and finding suppliers, it was in the beginning, it was difficult because we didn't even have the website. We just had the idea. But we have seen that people were more receptive in the idea. They literally loved it, that they could even virtually meet another party and discuss. So in the beginning, it was more difficult, but after a point, the success was so fast that we haven't anticipated it. Imagine that we were planning for 400 visitors and we had around 700. And this with a campaign that started literally just 1.5 months before. If you compare with the physical shows that the campaign for buyers starts practically 6 months before, you get the idea of how accelerated everything was.
Sure. Pretty impressive.
What I wanted to add is just the following 2 things. The first is I remember the first meeting with the Power team, that was end of March, and we only had 7 weeks to prepare everything. And the reaction of everybody was, whoa, that's too new. It has nothing to do with real life events. How on earth can we convince people to come along? I mean, even the same people were not that convinced, and they found it even more difficult to convince anybody else to come. That happened in the end of March, which was, very soon for what was happening in the world. 2 weeks later, everybody was already a little bit more prepared to hop on everything that happened, because that 2 weeks were the weeks that were completely disruptive to every single industry in the world. So event industry and every single industry. So that these 2 weeks, the last week of March and the first week of April, really made a shift in the mindset of everybody, even more so of travel and event professionals. And I think that the entire situation helped go very fast from point A to point B in terms of mindset. And there is nothing good in this entire situation, the current, etc. But the only interesting thing is how fast people adapt, how quick things can happen. And once somebody is convinced that this disruption can create new things and good things, they hop on pretty fast and good things happen. So I think it's very interesting that we follow this through. Even for me, who has done several events, doing it in 7 weeks was crazy, okay? But the situation helped gain momentum super fast, which is something that wouldn't have happened in any other moment in the year or any other month, let's say. So that's all.
When COVID will finally disappear, and we hope that it will happen very soon, do you think that offline will come back as it was before, or online will become essential and take its inherent part of our lives? What do you think about?
I think that online is here to stay. We have seen the power of it. We have seen the values of it. We have seen that people come and they are more concentrated, they are more focused. Also, if you think it on a global scale, the economies of scale you have, the green, the carbon effect and everything, it makes perfect sense that they should and they will go on. And as probably Cleo will share with you, this is not something new. Virtual events were always happening. They were not so often in our industry, let's say. and we say, but we are travelers, we are travel planners, we have to travel, we have to.
We are selling emotions. That's why it was.
Yeah. I mean, it was, let's say, unthinkable not to travel. But now that we have seen the merits and the benefits, I think this is something that will stay. And we're looking probably at more virtual shows. Of course, you know that already there are many announced already. Probably hybrid shows, that they will be both. Yeah, I mean, it's a big challenge for IMEX and IBTM now to convince people to come and give a new perspective, a new spark to the physical shows. Otherwise, it would be more and more difficult, because also from the economic point of view, I mean, see the return on investment you get from a virtual show and a physical show. It's uncomparable. It's huge, the difference. Cleo, do you want to add something?
Okay, there are again a few things I want to say. The first thing is that about your comment, Vika, what happens when COVID ends? I think that COVID has a lot of phases until it ends. So we're talking about different situations that we will go through until this ends. So there is, we often talk about the post-COVID era. The post-COVID era had a lot of different phases, and we don't know exactly how long they will last, but they will not be last. I know you, especially your industry, hates when I say that, but it won't last very soon. It will last later on than what we imagine. And in particular, for the part of your industry, because I assume we have traveling and events, particularly for the traveling part, it will take much longer than what it will take for the event part. What do I mean? Because what will be happening is that most businesses will start understanding that they need to, I call it, to dismantle their businesses. Like, see what they do. I do a conference, and I also do traveling, and I also do a little bit of incentive, and I also do that. They need to break it down a little bit and see which one they should start doing faster than the other one. Okay, why? Because they need income, and they cannot just say, oh, let me wait until all this over and people start traveling. People will start traveling afterwards, but they will start looking for types of events a little bit before. So I'm just saying this because in your industry, we need to start thinking a little bit in different phases and in different speeds, and not exactly as we used to think. It's all the same package, let's say. So that's one thing. The second thing about the coexist, I'm positive that virtual events and real life events, as we call them, are going to coexist. They're here to stay both. Is the virtual going to substitute the real life one? I even hope not. We want real life events. We want them to coexist. We want, the energy that is happening in real life to keep going. What will probably happen, and what we see have been happening for the last 15 years in other industries, is that they coexist. For example, I will have a national meeting, one per year or twice per year, and then in between, I can have virtual meetings. And in that way, they work perfectly well. We will see that what is happening is that virtual events, as Sava said, are extremely more productive. They get much faster results, and the return on investment is way better than everything you'll ever have in a real life event. Mm-hmm. There is a different reason why you need the virtual one, and a different reason why you need the real life one. As you said, the real life one, you bring your emotions, you bring your passions, you can have that in the virtual, but it's not comparative. You hug with the other person, you shake hands, you drink something, real, not just in distance. They're here to stay, and people don't need to worry, but it will take a little bit more time. Well, the example I like to use is that it's like music, go to live concerts, but you also love listening to music at home. There are a lot of different equivalents to listen to music. You can download it, you can buy it a CD, you can play it. That's what we will find in these industries. We'll find a lot of equivalents that can be done virtually, but the real life events will be back, but it will take a little bit more time.
Mm-hmm. Great. You know, I like the idea that all these expenses that the client cuts and organize all these digital little virtual travel workshops, then this budget should go to these final life events, you know, and it would
Yes.
be just bombastic. I mean, why not? Everyone can profit from such kind of
Exactly. Exactly.
business.
Exactly. Hopefully, everybody will think like this.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier to understand with incentive travel and events because, of course,
Yes.
it's unimaginable that they're not going to go back to life. But what about exhibitions? You know, if we're talking about shows, exhibitions, there seems to be so many prevailing pluses of organizing a virtual show like yours, like you mentioned, cutting of expenses, no need to travel, you can combine it with a busy operational period of time. What else did we mention? The level of concentration is much better, nobody distracts you passing by your booth. So are there actually any pluses of holding a live industry exhibition in our sector? Because this is a service sector where we don't have to exhibit, you know, equipment, and we actually just have to show our faces, you know. What do you think? Yeah.
You know, it's for me now that you raise this question is from in the beginning of this whole quarantine, I was like you know, like a wild animal in a cage. Me, who I'm traveling at least let's say every 3 weeks. That's my my travel schedule. Every 3 weeks, statistically, I travel for at least 1 week. So, and then after the period passed and passed, we're already going to almost month 3 of quarantine. Even if traveling resumes tomorrow, I will not be the first to jump and go. Not because I'm afraid but I learned to value the merits of virtual shows and how many things you can do now virtually, because the technology is there. You cannot imagine how advanced the technology is and the things you can do. Now that I am more into this world, I realize that literally sky is the limit. So that doesn't mean that physical shows are not going to happen again. Of course they will, because there is a natural need of the people to connect with each other physically, because the chemistry, it's human nature to do business with people. You connect more, you like more, you have more compatibility, let's say. Plus the thing that, visiting a different country, you smell it, you see it, you taste it. It's something that you cannot get from the virtual shows. And this is an element that we needed. We need it in our business. I don't say that always seeing with your own eyes makes the difference, but at the end, because if you can see the things that you can do virtually with virtual reality, you get to see more things with virtual reality than you get to see in actual, okay? Because you go to places that you cannot go physically. However, the feeling that you are there, you're tapping on the ground, you are smelling the place, it's something that it cannot be substituted. And also the way you feel when you do this, the emotion, as very correctly Vika said, it's a very important element. So it's impossible almost to replicate the emotional part in the virtual world. Okay, you can simulate it, but it's not quite the same thing. So I believe that, yes, the physical shows, they will go on. Now, how and to what extent and at what cost, we're about to see.
Mm-hmm.
That's, yes. What I want to say is that I believe that big exhibitions like the ones you've mentioned, I've learned them now, so I know the name of the IBTM and the IMEX, etc. I think they will pretty soon need to reinvent themselves. I'll tell you something. Buyers will want to keep going to these exhibitions. Exhibitors will have real concern whether the money they're spending, because we're talking a lot of money, whether the money they're spending does have the return on investment they want to, now that they have seen what the virtual equivalent can bring them. I think that exhibitors will pose strong questions and make big exhibitions doubt a little bit the way they will be doing things. I think big exhibitions will sit down and think clearly, how can we retain the energy and the human element in the years to come, but doing it exactly in the way we used to do it, I think will probably change.
I agree with you. I think that for a while, a lot of exhibitors, especially big companies, have been feeling that they have to be at a big show like IMEX or IBTM because of the image factor, because they have been doing it for the previous 10 years and it will be weird if they don't do it this year. So it's great that we've had this gap and
Yes.
everybody can re-evaluate for themselves what is actually necessary for them, and anything that can make shows more attractive, more exciting for both parties, so that, yes, we don't have to use exciting farm trips as a bargaining tool to get the best buyers in. Anything like that would be a great...
and more affordable, I would say, more affordable, because they became very expensive.
Yes.
And literally, you were not getting the money back. I know, because many of my members, they were saying, you know, we have to come to IBTM, even if it costs so much, because if people, they don't see us here, they will think that we went bankrupt or something. So it's a perception thing, and you're paying for something that you will never get back. So this is wrong. This has to change. And I think it's going to be a very pressing factor for the organizers to reinvent themselves and offer more value and real value.
You know, here in this virtual show, I met really very motivated and enthusiastic buyers. They really would love to discover new destinations, to create new products, because every one of them said that, you know, we were so busy, the business was really run really very good, so we never had a chance and time to discover and to create new out-of-the-box products. And now it's time to discover some new destinations, to discover some nice spots, because our planet is so big. And this was maybe really the perfect match of time, wish and idea. And let's hope that it will work in its best way. Olga.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the positive changes. That was our next question, actually, guys, to you. How do you see the industry change in the next, 10, 15 years? What positive changes do you see ahead of us? Let's start with positive.
Well, I think what you're looking at in the next 30 years, there are three big factors that are going to change the industry. And we have to take into consideration now what we have to do now to be ready for the next 20, 30 years. So one would be the use of technology. And by technology, we mean the use of AI, artificial intelligence, that can be seen already in some cases. I always love to demonstrate something, which unfortunately we don't have the time or the means to show you right now, how advanced AI is. You can see that in the form of chatbots, and there are industries that are already operating with automated chatbots. Even Radisson Hotel has its own chatbot called Edward, and you can chat and get a lot of, when is my reservation? Can I cancel my reservation? All these trivial questions that can be literally answered by AI, and they save a lot of manpower. You're going to see more of augmented reality. You're going to see more of 3D printers and holograms in terms of the hotel. Imagine that when you go into a hotel, everything will be waiting for you in your room. You will have slippers made exactly at your size, your shoe size. You will have, instead of paintings, you will have digital holograms of your favorite singers or actors or painters in the walls. So it will be a completely customized experience. You should worry how your presentation looks, not in the paper, not in your computer, but how it looks in the smartphones, because the smartphones will be at the center of everything, will be the main source of search and decision-making tool. And therefore, you need to create always interactive content and engaging elements for the future travelers. The second factor that will influence a lot the traveling and the traveling decisions will be the climate change. I don't think going to Costa del Sol in Spain in 30 years from now will be feasible, because the temperatures will be so high that it will be impossible to have holidays there. Or going to Austria or Switzerland December or January for skiing, there will be no snow. If you want to go skiing, you have to go probably much norther in the next 30 years. Also, take into consideration that the so-called over-tourism, okay? For instance, Jean-François Ferret, the CEO of Expect Destinations, he says that many destinations will literally ban tourism, or they will limit it to quotas, like we have in Machu Picchu, in Cusco, or we have in Bhutan, that they accept only a limited number of visitors. So destinations like Barcelona, Venice, Amsterdam, all these will be destinations that will be crossed out from the bucket list, because literally it would be very difficult for you to go there. And then the third factor that would definitely change the way we travel will be the demographic factor. I believe we will see two big changes. One will be the so-called seniors. Seniors by 2030 will be 27% of the total travelers. Seniors are people who are retired, they have the money, they have the income, but for them, we have the so-called first and last mile challenge. What does that mean? It means, how do I, from the doorstep of my house, reach to my destination? This will be a challenge for the seniors, and they will choose the easiest way. What will be the easiest way to go there? If it's too complicated, too strenuous, too tiring, they will not do it. So have that in mind when you're designing travel for this particular section. And the next trend we're going to see is going to be the millennials. The millennials at 2050 will be between 45 and 60 years old. That means they will account already at 20% of the 15 trillion market, industry market. And millennials have already very different mindsets from our generation. For instance, for them, it's much more, let's say, trendy to own an electrical car, to stay in Airbnbs and not in hotels. So there are more vegans, and for them, it would be more important to, when they talk with their friends, to tell them not where they went, but how they went there. The way they traveled, the minimum carbon emission that they spend will be the hot topic of their conversation. Mm-hmm. And also, when you design trips for millennials, always care about what we call Instagrammable experiences, experiences that they can easily post and share with their friends and family. So I think these are the three factors that we're going to see changing the travel industry in the next 30 years from now.
I have a question. What about human resource then? Are they affected? So the employer rate, if everything will be automated, yes, will become artificial intelligence. What about people? Where should they work then?
Well,
can I say something? I think that what keeps happening, I'll compliment a little bit on what Sava said, but I first answer to what Vika is asking. What is happening now in different industries, so I can put also the input of different industries, in that I'll say it clearly, there are a lot of jobs that disappear, but there are way more that are being created. Only we are not ready necessarily to look them in the eye. We don't feel that we know what they are about, so we say, yeah, okay, maybe the new people might be able to do it. Yes, people might stop doing, the boring tech part of just replying to the comments of where my ticket is, as Sava said, where do I need to go? But on the other hand, you can provide, no machine will ever, or no virtual reality, no digital product, nobody can ever take the soul that we only can offer in everything we do. And what I love saying constantly to anybody I work with is like, if you think that machine can take your work, you're not putting neither love, nor passion, nor soul inside what you're doing. Because if you do that, how on earth can a machine do what you do? If what you do is just, practical and logistic part, yeah, hell yeah, of course they can. So the more we think about what is the extra thing we bring to the table where somebody's working with us, the more impossible it will become for any machine to take the job. Going back to what Sava said, I'm not an expert in the future of traveling. I think Sava sees way beyond what probably most of us can see. I've watched him a little bit on how he speaks, but what I see as an external and as also a big traveler, because I also travel a lot, is that I see people now starting already doing the following three things. Number one, they are the ones that are travel with their soul, okay? I call them, they're deep travelers. They can go to a place and just go in a house. They can go to Paris, stay with the locals, eat cheese and wine all day, yes, and live that. They don't even care if they go to Louvre or they might have went years ago. It's not about that. It's about the immersive experience in everything they do. I'm one of them, but I know a lot of people that think that way. That means that it's a little bit irrelevant. We don't choose as to what the country we're going is. We choose as to what the experience we're going to be living is. If living the true thing is in Tanzania or in Paris or in Norway, we'll do it anyway. It doesn't matter. So maybe we need to think experience. Then the second thing is what I call is the people that travel for the image. Sava said it a little bit. You need to go to Paris, you go there, you need to tick, tick, tick. They also talk like this. They say, checked, Louvre, checked, Eiffel Tower, checked, Jardin de Luxembourg, checked. So they need to take the list. They need to post it on Instagram. They need to tell everybody what it is they do. I wouldn't say that they're superficial, but they scan. They don't dive. They want to scan. And that's how they choose. They pick by destination. They say, okay, Paris checked, London checked, New York checked, Machu Picchu checked. That's how they do traveling. And it's neither is better or worse. It's just different personalities, different people, maybe different ages. Maybe when I was 18, I was more scanning, but now that I'm 45, I'm more diving. Maybe depends like that. So if we start thinking about the person behind the trip and not the destination necessarily, I think we can do the job instead of the algorithm, which just picks up with ages. They say, oh, they're there. We have things to do in any industry, and even more so in traveling, that requires our soul and real humans speaking to real humans, not a professional talking only about their destination. And then 1/3 population that is very visible in our industry too is the people that don't travel. People that don't travel are very much interested in what we bring to the table. And I'm not saying you should focus on that, but we see that population emerging a lot. There are people that don't have the money to travel. They don't have the money to travel ideally where they want to go. They have the money to travel inside their country, for example. They're very much interested for virtual reality traveling options right now. They're the people that have traveled but can't travel anymore. It's not nice to say, but it's either age or physical handicap or any kind of situation that might happen. They can't travel and they want to remember the trip they did to Amazon 20 years ago, just saying. So they want virtual options to remind them of that. And then the third thing is sharing the experience with somebody else. So if I went to Vietnam at some point and now I want to share it with everybody and relive what we lived back then, I can bring the virtual, so not just pictures as we did some time ago, but right now you can bring an entire product that's called virtual reality and share it with my friends. I just told you about virtual reality, but even if you go on an Airbnb site, I know that you're not fond of Airbnb in your industry, but even they provide a lot of online experiences, master classes for tap dancing in Ireland. I don't know if you've seen it, Olga. There is a master class. It costs 15 euros and pounds, and you do a 1 hour tap dancing class. They have classes for meditation with a Buddhist monk. So they say, we're going to do the China monastery, we're going to be doing this, and they do meditation that costs 10 euros. They have cooking classes, which cost 8 to 15 euros of different cuisines. So these are the opportunities we'll be seeing. They happen already, okay? This is what I'm telling you is already 1 month old. I mean, this is information that I got when we were preparing for the event. So every day, if you go online, you'll see a ton of different things that are happening. That are not just virtual reality, which seems a little bit far-fetched, but things that can totally happen and that are already happening, and people are making money with that. And sadly, sometimes these are people that are not in the traveling business. They're only people that have thought about it. So I'd be happy to see people in the traveling and event business providing these kind of solutions now.
Mm-hmm. So it would be great to see the links, please, and share them.
Okay, yes, I will, yes.
Well, I think we've covered pretty much all of our questions, haven't we, Vika? So just one last thing, maybe you could wish something to our audience at Wise Backstage, how to cope, how to survive, you know, and something positive.
I would say that we have to stay always very positive, very optimistic, that things will come back and travel will resume, because it's an inherent passion, an inherent nature of the people to travel. So this will never stop. But at the same time, we have to be very agile, as we say, very adaptive, ready to incorporate new ideas, new innovations, and be ready to do things that we would never imagine that we would be doing before. In traveling, in the way we do business, in the way we interact with our clients, we have to embrace technology, not afraid of it, but embrace it and learn from it and take advantage of it. This would be my advice. And now it's the time to do it, because now we have time to learn, now we have time to read, now we have time to practice.
Agree.
Cleo?
I agree, same. I think that this period is the best possible period for anybody to actually take action on things they might have thought in the past, but never had the time to do it. Now we have a little bit more time to breathe. And when we have time to breathe, we have time to think. And when we have time to think, it's the right time to guide us to the right actions that we can take in order to make the best out of it, instead of just saying what is not the ideal in this situation. I'm sure that people will come out stronger and more ready to
resilient,
jump on new things.
Resilient, yes. Anti-fragile and resilient, yes. Great, great.
No.
I enjoyed our interview really very much. Such a big
Yeah,
wave
lots of
of
ideas.
energy, new ideas, and optimism. Optimism is something that is
Missing.
missing today, but here in our community there is plenty of it. So,
Yeah.
and we hope that this will, our audience will feel it, and this will, you know, it's very important to keep mind in very good condition and just stay happy and healthy and enjoy this time being with families, with kids. Our kids are very happy to have their moms and dads home. Yes, right, Olga?
Yeah, I can about hear mine actually in the background.
Yes. So
Yeah.
thank you very much. Thank you very much. Maybe we
Thank you.
should do a second turn someday when you launch new product. I'm pretty sure you are going so fast that something new will arrive in a
Yes,
couple
we're
of
working.
months. So we
We're
do not
working on
say
it.
goodbye. We just say stay connected. And thank
uh,
you very much.
Hasta
Thank you very
pronto,
much.
as we say. Thank you.
Thank you very much
Thank you
for
both
the
of you.
discussion.
I was very
Thank you.
happy to meet you.
Me
Bye-bye.
too,
Thank
me
you.
too, Vika, Olga, and
Thank
bye
you.
to the entire
Bye-bye.
team. Ciao.
Bye-bye.